This is episode 8. Easy, miss. I've got you. My name is Marc and I love movies and I'm all about the movie-going experience. So much so I had to create a show called The Weekly Reference just so I had a place to geek out a little bit. If you found this on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, etc., I really appreciate you stopping by. On this week's episode, I want to talk about some movie news in Marc's Top 5, including Guy Ritchie leaving Roadhouse, Dune Part 3 goes into production. I want to give a little PSA, kind of my thoughts on how I'm not a critic. I guess that's the best way to word it. And then I also saw Superman, and I want to tell you my thoughts about it. So let's get into it. So Marc's Top 5 for the week, we got Dune Part 3 officially going into production with Denis Villeneuve returning to helm the film. They are clearly naming it Part 3 to, I guess, probably keep it in line with Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, right? Like to keep that flow going. From what I understand, this was heavily rumored to be Dune Messiah, a book that the author purposely wrote to make sure people knew, to hammer the point home that Paul Atreides is actually a villain. And I'm interested in seeing that continuation. He did a really good job with Part 1, Part 2, and then seeing Paul's full arc in those two films and how that second one ends. You know, we all ended with, oh my gosh, what is he doing to Chani? Like, what's going on? So I'm curious to see the continuation of that. But I'm also like, this movie comes out the same day Avengers Doomsday comes out. December 18, 2026. So this movie, I feel like they're both going after the same audience, unless Dune Part 3 does the unthinkable and goes rated R, which I highly doubt. The other two set a precedent at PG-13. And it's been interesting about these Dune movies, though, because I enjoyed the first one, and many people that I knew did not. And then Part 2 I really enjoyed, and there's people that I convinced to see the second one, and they're like, yeah, it was better than the first one. I was just somebody who just enjoyed both of them. And so what I say that because I remember when Dune came out, and it was like, I mean, first off, it came out during COVID, so it was a at home and in theaters type of film. I remember the director speaking out about it. The whole house of Warner Brothers was falling apart. I mean, they lost Christopher Nolan in this time frame. And then it felt like a little bit of time had passed before they even got started on Dune Part 2, and then they did, and clearly it was successful enough to greenlight Part 3, and now it feels like Part 3 is moving a lot faster than I had anticipated. But I'm also like, I don't know, it feels a little foggy. It feels like Part 1, Part 2 is a longer road than to a Part 3. Still, mad respect to Denis Villeneuve. I feel like this is something from his childhood, something that he respects. Hans Zimmer, the composer, spoken about that as well, that this is from his childhood. And if I was Denis, though, I'd be really distracted right now. I have James Bond on the mind. I'm gonna go do Dune Part 3, and I'm thinking about what am I gonna do for the next James Bond movie. I don't know. I'd be a little distracted. Anyways. And then Deadline's reporting that they're doing a reimagining of A Night at the Museum. I'm not a huge fan of these movies, but this movie stars Ben Stiller, there's Owen Wilson, and of course the late great Robin Williams. A lot of fun, though. I saw the first one. I don't know if I've seen the other two, to be honest with you. It makes me want to revisit now that they're reimagining it. They got a writer on board, Tripper Clancy, who did Stuber and Die Hard, which I didn't watch either one of those, but I heard about both of those. And I don't know, it's going to be interesting, rebooting it. It's a successful franchise, so it has that notoriety, that franchise charisma. You could have Ben Stiller come back still. You could even have him direct if you wanted to. But it'll be interesting to see who they get in this one. Are they going to go? How are they going to go? Are they going to go more dramatic? Are they going to play into the comedy bits? Are they going to bring in someone like a Michael Cera? I mean, the possibilities are endless. We just have to wait and see. Deadline's also reporting that Guy Ritchie is exiting Roadhouse 2. And I'm a little disappointed because obviously Amazon MGM Studios had a big falling out with the previous director, Doug Liman. Doug Liman did Edge of Tomorrow, Jumper, and The Bourne Identity. And he and the studio had a huge disagreement about whether or not Roadhouse was going to have a theatrical push. Obviously, the streaming platform went for the streaming numbers, and it did really well streaming wise. And then there was like such a huge falling out between the director and them. It's a lot of he says she says stuff. However, if you're going to get another director in, Guy Ritchie was a pretty solid choice. I mean, his kinetic energy, you know, he did Wrath of Man, Sherlock Holmes, Snatch, the latest Aladdin, live action Aladdin. So it was a promising note. And the fact that Guy Ritchie and Jake Gyllenhaal are already working on something that hasn't been released yet, but like it seemed like good faith. But now he's exiting the project, and it's like, ooh, okay. After you get that, like, what's next? You know, sometimes with these sequels, they tend to get somebody that's maybe they're prone to do really well action sequences, or they're prone to do dramatic things, and they try to figure out how to marry the two ideas. But I don't know. I can't think of who could replace Guy Ritchie, but. The Hollywood Reporter is reporting that Haley Steinfeld just got off the hugely successful film Sinners, is reportedly joining Miles Teller from Top Gun Maverick, and a movie called Winter Games. It's directed by Paul Downs Calazzo. Sorry, I missed that name. His only directorial effort at this moment in time is Brittany Runs a Marathon, and I haven't seen it. I remember seeing a trailer to it. I remember it just kind of came and went. But Haley Steinfeld, Miles Teller, I think that's a really good combination. Haley Steinfeld has charisma for days. Miles Teller, man, he was been the talk of the town since 2022 at my house. I tell you that much. Gosh. Anyways, but it'll be interesting. It's a romantic comedy. I think the last time I saw a romantic comedy with Miles Teller, it was that movie Two Night Stand, which, if I'm not mistaken, when I saw it, it was a likable film. Like, I think I had a good time with it, but I've only seen it that one time. But it'd be kind of cool to see these two team up. And then last thing, I mean, I got to sing from the hilltops. If you are someone that is a fan of Superman, or if you love the Superman comics, the animated Superman series, or even the Justice League animated series or comics, or whatever the case may be, I think you should go see Superman. Go see Superman. It's well worth your time. It's well worth your energy. I said as much in our out-of-theater reaction to it. So check out Superman. So my PSA that I want to get off my chest is, I'm not a reviewer. I'm not a movie critic. I may be in this space because I happen to have a mic and I have a camera. But at the end of the day, my hobby is going to the movies. This is an extension of my hobby. I love watching movies. I love catching movies that I didn't get to see when I was younger. I love anybody that recommends movies. I like to try to squeeze that in, and my watch list has been growing and growing. If you want to follow me on Letterboxd, Marc MV Ref, that's where you could find my profile. I have a watch list that's growing, and there's some movies on there that I have seen, but I want to see it with fresh eyes so I can, like, you know, and that's the other reason why I do stars, because of Letterboxd. I got so, I guess that's a new addiction of mine, is I got so addicted to Letterboxd and doing the star rating that that's why I use it for this. I only use it to kind of give a gauge, because everyone will ask, how many stars do you think? Yeah, it just kind of goes hand in hand. It's an easy shorthand to give, but at the end of the day, I'm just a consumer. I'm just like you. There's movies that I'm anticipating, that I have my $20 for, that I'm, you know, excited to spend it. I'm gonna buy my popcorn, buy my soda, and I'm gonna sit down in the theater with a bunch of strangers, and we're all gonna go see a movie that we all had similar interests to see. And whether or not we walk out with different perspectives, that, you know, that's 100% gonna happen every single time. And so I bring that up because I want to introduce kind of a new segment that I'm going to do called Was It Worth the 20? And that's how I'm going to review movies from now on, is basically whether or not I got my money's worth. Because at the end of the day, that's what's important. I'm a consumer. I want to spend this money on this movie because you sold me on these trailers, these posters, the interviews. And did I come out of it on the other side happy? Right? Whether it's seeing it in theaters, watching it on a streaming service, or buying the physical copy, was it worth the money that I spent? And I'm just weighing my options every single time I'm choosing to go to a movie. And it's not a risk per se, but it definitely is something that, you know, okay, I'm putting down money to invest in this showing. So, and I'm always thinking about Tyler, the Creator. when I'm doing this. Like, I know that's such a weird thing. I'm a fan of his music. Chromacopia is awesome, but he's talked in recent years about how there's too many people with microphones, and I agree with him. But like, so I'm always in the back of my mind thinking, okay, how can I do this with as much quality, as much research, as much love as I possibly can, because this is stuff I'm interested in. So when I think of him and his criticisms about that stuff, I one hand I understand and I go, yeah, maybe I shouldn't be doing this, and then the other hand is like, well, I do have some stuff I want to offer and say and relay to everyone when it comes to my taste and interest, but I also want to do it with knowledge, with that, you know what I mean? So attack it differently. I'm definitely not an influencer. I'm not here to sway you one way or another. I'm just here to talk about the things that I enjoy the most, which are movies. So I just wanted to clear the air. Like I said, I have no idea what this is going to evolve into. You know, we might blink one day and it becomes something different. I don't know. Maybe I do end up taking a more hardened path of being a movie critic. But I love movies, and I'm going to share my thoughts on them. And I love news and casting news, and, you know, finding out what directors are going to work on next. Or I love talking about musical scores and all that stuff. So, you know what I mean? Like I just said, I'm just here to spread the love of my interest through this show, The Weekly Reference. Superman, starring David Corenswet, Rachel Brosnahan, and Nicholas Hoult, directed by James Gunn. And I have nothing but positive things to say about this movie. Listen, I did an out-of-theater reaction with my friend David, and Denise was behind the camera. She also really enjoyed it. She didn't say anything in the video, but David and I got to share our out-of-the-theater reaction. You know, a couple years ago, we did a podcast episode talking about James Gunn's announcement video of Gods and Monsters, and almost thinking impossible. Like, there's no way that Superman's going to make this release date that they have on the calendar. And there we are, getting to see the movie early, you know, because of Amazon's early screening access on July 8th. And we walked out happy. We walked out like, yes, this is what we wanted. We didn't know this is what we wanted, but James Gunn still delivered what we wanted. You know what I mean? And so in terms of, was it worth the 20? Yeah, absolutely it was. You know, we get dropped down into this world, this comic booky world, and we get to have fun for 2 hours in this world that's Superman. It's not an origin story. You know what I mean? Like, instead of us going with the character, you know, having that character represent the audience and going through this world of, you know, him learning his powers and meeting all these unique people that are important in the comics, and we just go, oh, wow, there's so-and-so. We're dropped into this world almost like a day in the life and being like, well, there's Superman, there's Lois Lane, and we get to, and it feels overwhelming, of course, because there's so many characters, but it feels lived and breathed in. It feels like any character could pop up at any moment, and anyone that you're anticipating could be right around the corner. And that's what I really enjoyed about it. The comic booky nature of it all, the feeling like these characters are fully realized, even if they have short screen time, or they've enhanced these characters to a point where it's like, wow, I really love that take, and I really love who they cast for that role. David Corenswet is the full embodiment of Superman. He does such a great job as the character. Rachel Brosnahan is tenacious, and she's full of purpose as Lois Lane. And Nicholas Hoult, my goodness, I couldn't wait to see him more on screen. He was such a great threat against Superman, and it was believable coming from this powerful, intelligent human being to actually feel like a threat with Superman was the best thing ever. And then Eddie Ethegi, sorry, I never heard your last name pronounced. He's Darwin from the X-Men First Class, but he's playing Mr. Terrific in this, and he knocks it out the park. I thought he was fantastic as Mr. Terrific. I should say he was terrific as Mr. Terrific, and that's James Gunn's specialty. Like, I feel like that's his little ace in the back pocket is, hey, you know this, you may not know this character, you may know this character, but I'm going to introduce you to him anyway, and I'm going to make them the standout of this movie. And that's what he did with Mr. Terrific. It makes me want to go back and go to like Variant. I love going to Variant for their history ofs and find out more about Mr. Terrific, because I never heard of him before this film. The whole Justice Gang is great. Guy Gardner and Hawk Girl, or Hawk. Yeah, I want to say Hawkeye for some reason, but it's Hawk Girl. And yeah, like it just feels like they really did a nice job fleshing this world out, even in its unusual moments, you know, with the kaiju and stuff like that. All this kind of look, another specialty of James Gunn. You know, you look at the Suicide Squad, you're in this world of comic book characters that are, you know, threatened with death. They're going in risking their lives, but then there's Starro at the very end, and it's like, or there's King Shark, and you're like, I believe this. He finds a way to make it believable. And the score from John Murphy and David Fleming was phenomenal. The reimagining of the Superman theme from John Williams was awesome, but it's also a James Gunn score. You get a little bit of rock, you get a little bit of orchestral moments, you get a little bit of genre bending, and I just really enjoyed the score, and I've been listening to that all weekend. And then the color, the world itself is so vibrant and so well done. And so, I don't know, man, James Gunn deserves his flowers with Guardians of the Galaxy, the Suicide Squad, and I still have Slither on my watch list. I haven't got to it yet. A lot of people say that's their favorite James Gunn film. So I want to see this, I want to see his world continue to play out. I want to see these characters continue to interact with other DC characters. He definitely made a really enticing and exciting world and world building and extension, and a great foundation to start the DC film universe again. And I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 5. This movie, I love this movie. It's so much fun. Not all the humor works. Some of the CGI sticks out. There's a specific part in the movie where it's like, yeah, it looks cool, but then when you interact with it, it's not as cool. And yeah, but was it worth the 20? Yes, I plan on seeing this again. I can't wait for it to come physically. It's probably going to come out in December, probably. But yeah, because I'm a punk rocker. Yes, I am. That's my new favorite song. So check it out if you're interested in it. That's it for this week. Like, subscribe, comment to say hi. Leave a comment of anything that I said in Mark's Top 5. And also, please share your thoughts for Superman. I know we're past the weekend. Please share your thoughts for Superman. I would love to read them. Until next week, you've got me? Who's got you?